has redefined the art of caramel making. Slow crafted, all natural, and preservative free with uncompromising standards. Cooked gently in small batches to create velvety textures and layers of flavor like no other caramel you've ever experienced. It is our sincere hope that you enjoy each Seuss caramel as much as we enjoy making it for you. I'm Tammy Fahey, and I never tire of hearing how much people enjoy my caramels. Please visit SeussCaramel.com to place your order and to see a listing of stores that carry our amazing caramels.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman, a leading expert in professional coaching, clinical hypnosis, and energy clearing. Lois is an award-winning author of Chronicles of Hope. She has decades of experience in advanced hypnosis techniques, has conducted highly effective success coaching programs that have helped clients discover ways to achieve success, empower themselves, their families, as well as holistic practitioners to expand their practices. Get ready to be empowered with your host, Lois Herman.
Hello and welcome to Inspiring Hope. I am your host, Lois Herman, and I'm here to inspire you with positive messages and celebrate everyday people who are making a difference in our world. When we focus our thoughts and energies on what we love to do, we create powerful shifts that cause us to be more positive and peaceful. As we lift our energy, we empower everyone around us. If we each do what we can to make small shifts in awareness, from kindness to healthy habits and simple happiness, we create ripples of hope. Join us as catalysts for positive change for our families, our communities, and our world at large. And I hope you are inspired by today's show. And I want to ask you, what do you think about this crazy time we're living in? There is so much negative energy. We've already been handling the fallout from the pandemic. Now we're dealing with extremism, domestic terrorism, political issues, media madness, hurricanes, and now fires. Where can we find peace? In our own heart and mind. Take a breath and a time out. My dear friend Rebecca suggested that what we do when we're feeling a little stressed or not ourselves, ask ourselves, is this who we choose to be? Take a breath and then say, who do we choose to be? How do we choose to be? Take another breath and be that. For many years, I lived with my head in the sand. I was happy to be at peace without being aware of what was going on around me. My husband or friend would fill me in on current events, and I was content with only being moderately aware of the outside world. It was safe. This year, that changed for me. Publishing a book that is intended to bring peace to our world caused me to wake up and take notice. I started watching and listening to news, both mainstream and behind the scenes. What I discovered was that there were so many outlandish claims and inconsistencies that I needed to decide for myself what felt true in my heart. In the book, the Archangel Samael says, "There have been many who have said, 'My way is the only way,' and nothing could be further from the truth. Humanity is too complex to believe that there is ever only one course of action. We must use our minds and methods of discernment to decide for ourselves what is truth for us." He reminds us that there have been many dictators in the history of Earth who have used the principle of hatred to build power for themselves by channeling the unfocused hatred of the people who become their followers. We must pay attention to what is going on around us. Listen to both sides and take note of the negative. Be aware of those who are spreading anger, hate, and blame. Notice those who are doing good things for others and send positive energy to them to keep them uplifted and strong. Over many years, we have been artfully brainwashed to believe certain things. And it is time to start to open our eyes and ears, our hearts and minds, to ascend to higher levels of awareness, to wake up and think for ourselves, to let go of programmed beliefs and awaken to what is clear, hopeful, and watch for signs from above to guide us. We must wake up to a higher level of consciousness and take responsibility for protecting our world from hate before it's too late. You are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman at WSMN 1590 and 95.3 FM. We're here every Sunday morning bringing hope, bringing inspired messages from people who are doing good things. And what I've noticed when I watch the news and learn of the tragic events and the trauma that's going on in our world, it brings my energy down. I feel saddened, sickened, and weakened and low. What I've learned to do is to immediately switch to an uplifting or funny show, go for a walk in the woods, or just sit outside and embrace nature. As you drift to sleep, listen to high-frequency music to lift and calm your energy. You know how you hear a song and the lyrics get stuck in your mind? If you aren't careful, the images of negativity get stuck in your mind as you go through your day or drift off to sleep, and that is detrimental to you, to your mind, to your body, to your spirit. Instead, choose something positive to counteract the negative and reset your mind with happy, healthy thoughts and images. Pay attention to what's going on and then take conscious effort to shift to something more positive. As the author of Chronicles of Hope book series, I've been asked to spread the messages that were given to me, messages of hope for humanity, messages of being one, of peace, of kindness, of compassion. We must walk away from negative or toxic people, places, and things. Avoid allowing them into your life. Practice forgiveness, discernment, and protection from negative influence. In these books, I share the powerful messages to help us shift our energy and transform our lives to be more positive, individually and collectively. Don't you agree that our world definitely needs to shift right now, to awaken to a new level of consciousness? The Great Awakening is happening. Those of you who are on a spiritual path really need to pay attention, need to join with the other light workers and hear, see, and feel for yourself what is truth and what is false. You can now purchase signed copies of the book at our website, chroniclesofhope.net. This book is one of those valuable tools to help your mind stay positive and your thoughts uplifted. I just last week recorded a Lifting Your Energy in Times of Uncertainty website. I recorded it and posted it on my Lois Herman YouTube channel. There are dozens of inspiring, hopeful messages that you can find there. If you're feeling down or lonely or sad or distraught by the media, the news, click on and listen to some of these other amazing people that I've been honored to share time with on these radio shows. Together with Team Hope, we are helping to shift humanity's negative energy. Help us spread the word as catalysts for positive change. We must shift the energy of our world before it's too late. You are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman at WSMN 1590 and 95.3 FM. So one person who has for many years offered daily podcasts, little glimpses of simple nature and beautiful insight to keep us positive. He has long been on a personal mission to bring hope and light to the world. He's with me here today. I'm so excited to welcome a wonderfully inspiring country gentleman who is on call for the cosmos, as he says, a doctor in hypnosis, a master musician, and owner of an amazing spiritual retreat in northern New Hampshire. Please help me welcome Michael Hathaway. Michael, are you there?
I am here.
Oh, good morning. How are you this morning?
I am good. I'm all inspired.
And I'm inspired. I listened to your some of your podcasts even this morning. The one on the the wood and the fire that just gathering the wood, the energy we put into it, and then we can appreciate it even more when we burn the wood. This is the time of kind of going, getting ready for the winter. The brisk air is upon us, which is wonderful. So
it is. Tomorrow's podcast, a little hint, is called "I'm Paul Bunyan, I'm Not."
You don't have a blue ox named Babe, right?
No, I don't. I go at a pace that's right and good for what I do, and just doing something in nature, whether it's planting a flower or looking at scenes or taking pictures or whatever it is, going for a walk, just being there. They're now prescribing people to do that for stress. It's we're very fortunate. We have about 160 acres to do a little wandering and playing.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to be the man on the mountain.
Well, it started out in Maine, and I could talk for an hour on just that. My parents owned the last old-fashioned telephone company in North America. So I suppose service, they were responsible for everything, all the communication in the town went through their living room. It was a great responsibility they felt. And so growing up with that being instilled in us and having a grandfather that loved the woods and had a place a mile away from everybody else, and I thought the cow was singing when he went into double low. And my wife's father grew up and grandfather were in the mill business. So they owned a mill in Bethel, Maine. And so the combination of that love for nature started in real early. My first cousin, who was our best man, got one of the first in doctorate degrees in the country in environmental nature.
Wow.
So he's an expert on the Allegheny. So this is there. And then as the world turns and goes, I went into music, taught for 30 years, 25 into it, got hit by a car going to summer school.
Wow.
And into the paranormal since about the 80s, late 70s, and into hypnosis. And so laying in the middle of the street, not knowing I was going to live or not, I knew that the accident had a purpose. And so just going with that flow in recovery and knowing that I needed to get out of teaching because my leg wasn't going to allow me to do that, so or at least comfortably. And so we opened up, I got a doctorate in hypnosis and opened up the hypnosis center and acquired all the land after my salary or my income dropped 60% and my wife left hers. We've been trusting and believing that if we're doing it right, then all of this comes together the way it is. So 20 plus years later, we're having this conversation.
Yeah. There's a mantra that's going through my mind that came from, I believe it was Ray. Do what you do because it's the right thing to do, not because of what you'll get for it. And trust and believe that things will be given to you as we give from our hearts, as we share. We will be blessed. And that sounds like what you have been doing for 20-something years.
Well, it is trust. I mean, it's that. I tell people I grew up terrorized Baptist, scared the daylights out of me. It wasn't my family, but it was that preacher that got red in the face and pounding the pulpit and saying, if you go to a movie on Sunday afternoon, you're going to hell. And
That's
I knew
right.
that wasn't quite right. But when Star Wars came out, I'm going, oh, the Force.
The Force.
So the Force. So I began to believe in that something which now I call the core of the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
And really, through connection to Edgar Casey back quite a few years ago when I was beginning to learn hypnosis, it just became a whole sense of, oh yeah, it's that universal force.
Yes. There's a lot of spiritual truth in the Star Wars series that is pretty interesting, very interesting. Yeah. May the Force be with us, right?
Well, the Force is with us.
It is with us. You and I both know that. Feel it. We
I know.
embrace it. Yes. And you are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman at WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. And this morning, today, I'm speaking with Michael Hathaway. So, Michael, tell us a little bit more about how you came to do what you're doing.
Well, I don't really know what I do. I just do it when it happens. I mean, I grew up fooling people into thinking that I knew what I knew, to be honest. Because out of, in neurolinguistics, it's the senses, five senses, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling. And I knew I didn't learn differently. I knew that I was off the scale, but nobody ever picked it up. And so I somehow learned how to learn. And then, fortunately, my wife knows how to bail me out very well. So she's a great editor and everything. But the thing is that I don't recall in 4.5 the five senses. Visually, I have no visualness and pictures in my mind or sound. So being a musician and trying to play, and I don't play by ear because I don't hear it. I've learned it feeling, and that's, of course, the whole empathic concept. That's what I come from, is that. So once I learned how I was through the study of neurolinguistics, then I gave myself permission to be that way.
Right. So you're a feeler. You're more kinesthetic. And that's how you take in the world, which is part of why your little 1 to 2 minute podcasts are so powerful, simply stated and yet very powerful. And yet you do evoke the visual and even other senses as we listen. But that strong sense of feeling does come through in your podcasts.
Well, the idea is that people don't really listen to what I'm saying. In other words, if it's done right, then the guidance of it will lead them into their own thought path.
Exactly. So you're sharing on all different levels, and then the person, depending upon what their learning style is, they embrace that. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. There's a couple of words. I call it holographic thinking. There's a big picture and a little picture. When we get caught up in that little picture thinking, like a lot of people are doing with the pandemic, they get claustrophobic. They can't get away from it to see what's really going on. Somebody said once, or I read once that somebody had written, there's a whole rainforest in a drop of water. And I thought about that, and if people spent their whole time watching that drop of water, they'd never see the real rainforest. So it's the ability to be on the stage and off the stage. In other words, to get the two different views. People don't know this, the whole thing about what we don't know about ourselves. It's so important to really learn oneself first. And I wish that the programs in schools had that opportunity for kids to know themselves, because they're going to learn differently than anyone else.
It's so true. And I feel like I'm continually learning, and as I learn to help others, I'm one of the first people that I have to learn about is myself. Oh, why is it that I have this sense or this feeling or this? I'm still, always peeling layers. There's always something more to explore and to understand and to shift and to lift.
Look at the progression of your books.
Yes.
That's right there. It's all a constant. Well, I'm a kid. My goal, as I'm looking out the window at nature right now, is to wonder all these amazing things that are out there. Milton Erickson said once to a patient, go out and count the colors of green and grass.
Yes.
Stop and look at the colors of green leaves or the way bark is shaped. All of these little things that we walk by every day without thinking about, because we're all consumed with worldly things, that takes us to a different level of being aware.
Exactly, and that's one of the messages that came through in the book is to be like children, to look at the world through the eyes of that wonder and awe, and look at a butterfly. Just take the time to truly look and watch a hummingbird, the clouds in the sky. They're just and what I find is people, if you can't get out and do that yourself, if you friend the right people on Facebook, others are constantly posting pictures of cloud images or other uplifting things. I find that Facebook for me is very inspiring because of the people that I friend and others that are doing wonderfully insightful things, and it just delights me to see what others are doing.
I started, actually it'll be 6 months, the 16th of September, when the pandemic was really hit, and all of my work all stopped right then.
Sure.
Musician and playing some, and also canceling or not doing clients at the center. And so I thought about it, and I just started with a thought. And so each day since then, one of the first things when I turn the computer on is to ask the source for the right words that come through at this point that can be positive to encourage people that might help someone. I may never meet them. That's beside the point. It goes out. And so I've got a whole, I don't know, it's like about 24 pages of these little things. I put them on a site and hold them onto it on one of my files.
Uh-huh.
So each day of something positive that might give somebody an idea to look at life differently.
Exactly. Now, how can people find you on Facebook? Because I know you post those wonderful daily podcasts. You're a great storyteller. How do they find you?
Well, Michael Hathaway on Facebook, also White Mountain Hypnosis Center.
Okay.
Those are two, plus michaelhathaway.com or whitemountainhypnosiscenter.com. There's a couple of ways to get that. It's also, I work through the podcast people, and so they could find it on that. But we go also directly, my wife is the engineer. I record it, and then I edit it, and then I take a lot of hot air out of it, clicks and so forth.
Yeah.
Email it to her 25 feet away. she will upload it and make it sound like something. So she edits everything. She's an incredible editor.
Well, you are an incredible team. You've published how many? Did you say 15 books, something like that?
We have 15 titles out, and it's like I should say that there's a couple of books I did on everything psychic has been redone 2 or 3 different times, packaged differently. I don't do this; the publisher does. Like the only psychic power you'll ever need, and so they design it. It kind of changes around with what's going on at the moment. And I did the Everything Hypnosis book, and also the Everything Lucid Dream book, and the Idiot's Guide Past Life Regression to Past Life Regression, which is a second edition called Discovering Past Lives. And then several things I've done for fun. One of the things I enjoyed going back doing was Time to Discover Your Soul's Code, which is the whole concept of how we evolve.
How we evolve as souls, and there's a concept that we've lived many lives in many different places, and so I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. If you, what is the kind of an overview of that concept or that book?
Well, you mean the past lives?
Yes.
Well,
the soul growth, both.
Yeah.
The soul code, yes.
Yeah, the soul. Well, I've come to the conclusion I never did necessarily believe in past lives. There was some, it could have been a higher consciousness or whatever. But events in my life that led me to the point of being aware that how is it we know what we know? And if we can explain what we know, that's fine. But what about fears? What about things that we can't explain? Thoughts, fascination with different time periods, abilities. How is it that we know it? And that's where we begin to move into the past life concept. And that was a lot of my training in my doctorate. But that's also what I have as a technique called conversational past lives. So I don't do deep hypnosis with people. We start in and lead them into it by the questions I ask to step into it. And I say, well, the first thing is to imagine, because we don't really totally have proof of this. I mean, you can believe in it or not, but it's like a story.
Right.
So when you come up with a story that flows, and then you look at that story and see how does it fit your life, and it may give you an insight to change your whole concept on your life that can be in a positive way.
Absolutely. And when I do past life, or even a lot of the release work that I do, the energy release, and people will say, is that true? And my comment is, I have no idea. It could be a metaphor. It could be a story that you have made up. How do you feel? Do you feel better as a result of that story that had some resolution to it? And to me, that's part of this, even if it is a made-up story, if it's a metaphor, if it's real. There's some pieces of me that I have actually done some research to prove a few things, but for someone who wants me to tell them that I can prove to them it's real, I cannot. I can just ask, do you feel better? Does this make you feel better?
Yeah, a term that's used sometimes, psychological drama of the mind. In other words, it's that idea that comes up and if it fits, but it's amazing how it works for people. And, as I say, it's okay, you just start with imagination, but when you ask questions like, okay, can you imagine something, can you see it, and describe what you're seeing, and then you step into the other senses, can you look through the eyes of someone there, okay, so what's your head feel like, what's the ground feel like, what's the temperature, what's the scene around, all of a sudden the person will, I've finished with clients that can't remember the conversation we had because they've gone so deep into their own imagery.
Mm-hmm. And the imagery can also, like you, be feeling. Maybe they don't see it, but they sense it. And that sense will translate to something that's going on in their world today. The type of past life work that I do is typically to resolve a current issue. It's not, who was I? It's more, what is this feeling, this feeling of being stuck, or this repetitive pattern that I'm having. And when they go into that repetitive pattern, and it may have been something that's been with them their whole lives, that's when they can go back into a prior memory and resolve it, understand it, heal it, forgive it, let it go. And so along the same lines, yes?
Yeah, and I watch for how this is affecting them.
Right.
In other words, I can move them back and forth, or just so that they're not caught up in it.
Right.
The goal is to kind of sneak up on a situation in the past that might have been traumatic, that they can then, I want to know what the last thought was in that lifetime. Then go back to a happy period, and then bridge it to where they are now, so that they can begin to see where they are now is not where they may have felt they were in their life. In other words, thought patterns that are affecting them at the moment. If they get an indication where they may come from and then go back before that, then they have a chance to, to heal it, to resolve it.
Right. Yes.
This can also work with artists, with blocks in writing or in music or in anything like artwork itself. So there are many ways that you can use this to go beyond the block and give people, I call it giving a person permission to take the risk of succeeding.
Exactly, because many people have more fear of success than they do of failure. Failure is something that's comfortable, that's used. They've done this time and again. There is more of a fear of success, so therefore they self-sabotage.
That's all I know. I remember the old housing project that talking in Dorchester, where they had slums, and they built this brand new housing project to move everybody from the slums into the housing project, and they made new slums. Because that's all they knew.
Exactly. Yeah, that's their pattern. And so to shift out of that pattern, going back into those prior memories, and then one of the techniques that I use, and I'm sure you do as well, what did you learn? What was the lesson from that life? And how can you apply the lesson to this life? How can you take the learning and let go of the pain, the emotion, whatever? Take the learning. I say, put it like a nugget, put it in your pocket. Take that with you and let go of the rest.
Absolutely. Just about the exact same words I use. I also look for, if it's a person, say if there was a kid back in that life that may have run into problems, is okay, so bring that kid to you now so you're reunited again with a part of your soul that was kind of out of sorts.
Right.
So you have a chance to bring that along. So you're just discovering life again as you knew it from a different time period.
Right. It is fascinating to gain understanding about yourself and why you do things that you do, and why you have these certain feelings. How many times have you met somebody and you have this instant like, and it's like, I just feel really comfortable with you. And then you meet somebody and it's like, I don't even want to go near you. Looks like, feels like, smells like, sounds like someone that has triggered a memory in you. It's not about the person. It's more about the trigger and your reaction, your response.
Then you have a chance to, if you can get away from the emotions for a minute, then study what's really going on. That's that hologram, so you get beyond it or above it and look at it and say, well, what's really going on here?
Mm-hmm.
How come I think this? And, and again, it could be from the past, but it also could be your intuition kicking in.
Exactly.
It's like giving yourself permission to listen to what's going on.
Right.
Be aware.
Yeah. That's interesting because that ties in with what I was saying earlier in today's show, where I have long been on a spiritual journey, and in my spiritual awareness of self-preservation and protection, keeping the negative away, I have not allowed myself to pay attention to what's going on in the world. I get my news by, second-hand or third-hand resources. And now, because I'm having to put myself out there, I'm really having to pay attention, and it's shocking to me what the falsities, the things that are untruth that many people are buying into, and I'm having to pay attention to my heart, mind, and my intuition. And then also it's triggering things in me. It's been an interesting experience for me to actually pay attention. And this is what these guides are saying. You must learn discernment. You've got to think for yourself. You've got to pay attention to what it rings truth for you, and not follow the lemmings.
And the thing, of course, that's going on, people are drawn into it, and then their emotions get all caught up, and it's that perfect storm.
Yeah.
What I talk about are near-death experiences a lot, which could be a concussion.
Yes.
It could be, something mentally, physically, spiritually, emotional, where all of a sudden life changes.
Right.
And when that life changes, those senses that you're strongest in become even more intense. And all of a sudden you're hit with emotions. You have no idea what to do with them.
Right.
How they are. And then you'll see this acting out with people from the standpoint of mad, rage or whatever it is. They go into this trance. Again, they can't get back to see the whole.
Right.
I look at my question to myself on this is, okay, so what's my role in this? In other words, looking at doing something positive, doing something that's, rather than getting caught up in all of the anger and the stuff that's going on. Even though I'm aware of everything, taking it in, I step back and I trust that somehow or other, even though I don't understand it, that there's something taking place that is going to promote, in the long run, a world that is going to be more aware of the positivity. And now you're going back to Facebook and you're going back to all of these things of the people that are doing good.
Right.
I did a show for about 5 years with a woman in Texas called Lost Knowledge, a radio show. And we talked to people all over the world, and what I found was that there are lights like you all over the world that are all like what I call a transition team. In other words, there are people on Earth right now that I believe have done this at different times in not only the world but the cosmos, where we come together at points in times where our role is to be there, to be the guide for the ones that are going to change the world, which are the kids, the younger ones, up to their mid-20s now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I, this period of me delving into being aware of what's going on, I actually asked my guides, what is my role? And they said there is truth and there is fiction in both extremes. Yet it's not up to you to deal with that. It's good for you to know it. rise above it, look at it from above, and be the way shower. Bring the light. You are a peacemaker. Bring the peace. That is your role. And that feels right to me. And what I'm finding, like you said, I'm finding other light workers who are saying and seeing and sensing the same thing. And it's validating. It allows me to be able to talk about this because there are other people that are feeling and sensing the same. So, yes, you're exactly right. If we can hold the light and send the light of positive energy, no matter what the illusion, we will have a beautiful, we have an amazing planet that we live on. And you have that amazing retreat on the mountain. And you said that you have a labyrinth and you have a new peace garden. So there's amazing things that you are doing to allow people to experience that sense of peace. And that's part of what our job is.
With this whole thing that's going on, everybody, as we say, we've re-examined priorities.
Right.
And my granddaughter needed a project for St. Thomas Aquinas High School where she goes for community service, and working through a nonprofit, the Center for Community Development, we put together at her design a peace garden. And so we're in phase 1 right now. They're beginning to, go with it. And so we followed with her, and some of her kids and friends from St. Thomas came up and did all this work and design work. And part of her assignment was to compose a new song called Ring the Bells for Peace, because we have a little meditation building in a bell tower with a bell all collected at different places. So now the idea is that hopefully this will go out with kids all over the world where they want to send in a video of doing something good or ringing a bell at the same time for peace.
Wonderful.
So that will be the next phase as we put that together.
And that's something that they can find on your website. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can. We talk about that, and right now it's a beautiful place to kind of wander. I mean, it isn't very big. It's only about like 60 feet by 30 feet or something like that. But it's surrounded with hemlocks that I brought years ago from our family cottage in Maine. Small ones are planted that are now forms a nice hedge around the roadside, and it's just. But the whole idea is peace.
Right. And so what would you say to inspire others to be more hopeful in this time of chaos and confusion?
Well, I think it starts with mindfulness. Starts with an intention. And one looks at a situation, if you can step back enough to say, okay, so what's going on? Is it something that I feel that I want to be a part of, or do I want to do something different? And then examine what it is your passion is, how you would like to have that going. And the theory is that once you begin to think about a passion that's positive and good, you're sending out a force that's already attracting whatever it is to really manifest itself. And so as you think about that and say, well, what's my role? What might I do? It might be just calling up a friend and saying, how are you doing? We have someone that calls us a couple times a week from Connecticut that says, well, how are you? And you appreciate that from that. So, or a photo that is positive, or a poem, or something that goes, as you say, on Facebook, just put something positive down.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go out and see where it goes. And you may never know. I hear from people that I was amazed by the podcast, and it's picked up all over. I can't tell you how many, probably 2,000 to 3,000 a day or something like that. It's gigantic, but it's where people will hone in from literally all over the world, and if they find something, and I always finish that podcast with, it is my prayer that these words are right and good for you whenever you hear them.
Absolutely.
Meaning they're out in space, 4,700 of them. So whatever it is that works, then that's the idea.
Right. And that's the sort of thing that people can just tap into at any time and just listen to just to get inspired. And there are so many things like that on the podcast channels, on YouTube, there are Facebook, there are a lot of really positive things. What you have to be cautious of is blocking the negative, because there are people who post rants, and I've found that little finger just goes very easy to hide. Hide post. I don't want that on my feed, not me. I am positive. I am asking people to question what they've been taught, but that's what the whole book is about. Questioning. Listen, think for yourself. Pay attention to what resonates in your soul instead of being, spoon-fed and taken, what other people are saying is their truth. And that's, I tell my clients, don't believe me, don't believe anybody else, believe what is right in your heart and your mind.
I try to be pretty neutral, at least
Yes.
so that people can, find something in it that they can resonate with.
Yes.
And not push the button too much and see where it goes. So most of the time it's, people are there. They'll let you know if they disagree. But,
yeah. Well, yours are always about nature and the different seasons. And then that's, like I said, even if you can't get out, listen to someone who is going out and that is sharing those things. I have another friend who is a wildlife photographer, and she posts amazing things from her trail cams. And I love watching the antics of the animals when they're not aware that they're being observed. And all things nature is healing. That is one of the most healing between nature and music. And music itself soothes the savage, right? So, and music I've been listening to, there's a channel, a Tesla vibration channel. I don't know, I'm not familiar. You could speak to it yourself. But there's a certain vibrational level of music that is healing to the body, to the actual physiology, mind, body, spirit aspect of the being. Do you know what that resonant frequency is?
Probably not.
Okay.
I know that, of course, the A440, well, there's even debates on where the pitch was resonated, Earth is somewhere in the neighborhood of C, I think. In other words, you can get tone resonators that match the Earth sounds that are there, that you can listen to that vibration.
Right.
But I don't know a lot about the scientific mechanics of it, to tell you the truth. I just do what I do, and I can wander around most any place and enjoy.
Right, yeah, especially in that beautiful place on the mountain. I know.
It is. It's nice. We have, and we've got like we call a looping field, where we look out in the top, we planted the loop and we had it cleared, and it's like Chikara and, and Mount Washington and so forth. But the land itself has got its own agenda, and I think it decides who that wants to live around it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, from what we've seen from the things that I found on the land, it looks as if there was an ancient culture that lived here.
I'm sure. Yeah. So you are listening to Inspiring Hope at WSMN 1590 and 95.3 FM. And I'm here speaking this morning with Michael Hathaway, who is an amazing musician and doctor of hypnosis, and the owner of, he and his wife own, is a magical retreat center. I have personally not been to the retreat center, but we found out that I actually go up to the foot of his mountain. I'm going to call it your mountain. Twice a year when I go to dance retreats. It's the same place, and I love, love, love being there. There's just something about the energy in that beautiful semi-remote place up in northern New Hampshire. It's northern New Hampshire, Maine border, and it's just sacred. That's all. It's just escape in time and place. It's wonderful.
It is, and sometimes people almost think of it, I keep hearing words like Sedona of the East. In other words, there's something here.
Yeah.
In fact, the Native Americans were drawn up the Quacket Trail.
Mm-hmm.
It came all the way up from down, I think, in Rhode Island up through, which passes right near where we are,
Mm-hmm.
as they were on their
And can they come and stay there? Is there like a
Well,
place
we're at the moment in retreat center. I mean, it's a retreat, but it's we have a building. It's about 500 feet away from where we are. But what we're working on is the cabin, which is up on the back side,
Mm-hmm.
which is on the Class 6 town road. And when we acquired it about 3 years ago, it looks like a furnished house, but inside there was nothing, just insulation.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sort of looking at an off-grid retreat, which probably will take another year. It's like during this pandemic, if I have a one-board day, that's a pretty good day. Cook and play and so forth. And this is where we've been doing our kind of work as far as clearing and making it look a little better and so forth. So it's beautiful. It's right there. It's so peaceful being up there. I mean, you're way away from the daily traffic that you hear going by. It's only off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a slow-going thing, but that's part of what we're re-examining is how we're going to go forward in the future.
Right. And I know one of the things that you were telling me is about having people to stay upbeat and inspired is to think about all the things that you're grateful for. I know that I used to be one of my spiritual mentors would advise to keep a gratitude journal. Well, I was too busy to do that, but I can wake every morning before I get out of bed and I lay there and I think of the things that I'm grateful for, and I say thank you in advance for this. I'm so grateful for those that I can help. I am grateful for those that are being inspired to live a happier, healthier life. So grateful for so many things in our world, and sending that out as in forms of prayer. And what else would you encourage people to do to keep themselves inspired and uplifted during this crazy time?
I have a little saying that I usually are in my mind several times a day. I'm love, I'm love, I'm love. I am loved, I'm loved, I'm loved. And I am your love, I am your love, I am your love. Your is what's out there.
Yeah.
And it's like if I can represent that, if the head above my head, which lots of times words will come out that I have no idea why they're coming out, but they're there, then that's the idea, is to be the channel for that source, so that I don't own my thoughts if I'm doing it, paying attention, if I'm in tune. Those thoughts are coming through for whoever it is that the words are coming out.
Absolutely. And I often will do that as I go into doing work with clients. I'll ask, please give me the words to say. And things will come out and I'm thinking, where'd that come from?
And then usually people will say, well, gee, it's funny you said that.
That's right.
And I'm going, yeah, that's your angels talking.
That's right.
Sending messages through to come to you.
Exactly. And I know that, you and I both are very, familiar with NLP and the whole concept of neuroplasticity. We can't just say it once and it's done. We have to reprogram our mind. It's kind of like you clearing that cap and creating the peace garden, blazing a new trail through our mind. We have to say things over and over and over, our mantras, and then it becomes second nature. Then it becomes our reality.
Absolutely, and I learned this firsthand when I first got into hypnosis. When I was teaching, I used to be very intense, and one kid said to me one day, I'm different shades of anger, mildly mad, very mad, but never happy. Well, that's like having that mirror come up in front of me saying, do I like this or not?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, so I started consciously going through that routine, and within a couple of years, the next generation of kids saw me as a complete different person.
Mm-hmm.
Was one that had a real hard time making the adjustment because he was all braced for me to be negative, and when I wasn't, he didn't know quite how to deal with it.
Yeah, because we're constantly changing. We are evolving as we live on this planet. And I do have to ask you, have you I know you read book 1. Have you had a chance to glance at book 2 of the Chronicles?
I received it, thank you, this week, and I have not had a chance to really delve into it yet. It's been a crazy week most of the time. I've got it right here, just right where I can see it, and it's going to delve into it in the next. But I'm looking at your evolution way back to the first ones you wrote of what was the title of the first book?
Oh, the Spirits of Amoskeag, the Wounded Heroes of the Manchester Mills.
And seeing that transition of how that book itself has led into opening up your ability, your intuitive abilities, psychic abilities, and all those things, or at least enhancing it more.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, there you go. You've got the channel passing on information that's very valuable to the world at the right time.
Yes. That book prepared me for coming out of the closet as a spirit communicator.
Yep.
And it's and these book series have even caused me to feel more comfortable because the messages were given, and it's not fair for me to hold on to them. I need to get them out in as many ways as possible. Writing the book is one way, posting things on Facebook is another, posting things on YouTube, having these radio shows. It's all about how many ways can I touch people with the messages, how many different formats, because it's, we're multidimensional beings, and different people learn and absorb in different ways. So it's my mission is to get these messages. I live by them. I embrace them, and it makes a difference for me and the people who I call my Team Hope team. And you too can join Team Hope. We meet now 4 times a month on the second and fourth Thursday. We're now meeting at 1:00 in the afternoon and 7:00 in the evening. You can get there by going to chroniclesofhope.net community and sign up. And I'm asking for just a minimum of $10 a month just to cover expenses. And we have these wonderful conversations where we continue to keep ourselves uplifted no matter what's going on around us. We need to have ongoing infusion of positive energy. We are a community. We are a collective. We are all one, and we need to be supportive of one another.
That's wonderful. See all of it, and now are you having fun?
I am. I am having fun and loving it. And loving being at home, loving my gardens, loving, like you, if I want to do I call it my gardens are my therapy. I'll go out and dig in the gardens and weed, or last weekend, I spent 2 days pruning one bush, and it was a huge, big Miss Kim lilac that was overgrown. And I kept promising her I was going to pay attention, And it was very meditative. One branch at a time. What do you need? How may I help you to grow and thrive? It's not like come in with a chainsaw and or the bushwhacker, whatever those are called, those electric power trimmers, which is my lovely husband's like, oh, let's just trim her back. I'm like, no. She needs love.
And that's what I'm going to do after this program is over, is go get some gas in my chainsaw.
And the chainsaw is absolutely necessary for the bigger projects. And yes,
clearing a place that was really severely damaged when debris was piled up and trees have grown and it's all tangled. When it's done, it will be, hopefully, with my wife's imagery and so forth, it will be a beautiful little spot beside the cabin.
Nice. Very, very nice. Yes, you and your wife do such a lovely job. I love the oftentimes, even in your podcast, you usually include an image of flower arrangement or something that she has done. So she has that visual creative, and you have the sound or the feeling. So together, what an amazing team. And
I just kind of blunder around.
And that's one of the things that I find with the most spiritual people that I know. They're also the most humble. And it just touches my heart. Some of my amazing mentors are like you, where there's the sense of it's not about me, it's about what can I offer and how can I make a difference.
That's the joy of life.
It is. Being on call for the cosmos, as you say. And I know that do you have any last thoughts? We have maybe 1 minute left. Last thoughts to share.
Well, when you talk to somebody that knows everything, no room to learn anything else.
That's
true. When you want to confuse them so that they then have a chance to pick up more. And this is the whole thing, is we're all students.
And thank you, Michael. We're going to bring this to a close. And what is your favorite quote?
Well, to thine own self be true. In other words, a sense of connection.
Thank you.
Self means what expands beyond.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Meanwhile, look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Michael.
And I look forward to reading the next book.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
President Trump has issued a new order allowing more ethanol in gasoline. Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst releasing a phone call in which the president made the announcement.
I'm just putting out an order that our important ethanol industry will be allowed to use the 10% pumps for the 15% blend.
Ethanol largely made from corn, the order allows states, if they choose to, replace gas with 10% ethanol content with so-called E15. It will benefit ethanol-producing states like Iowa, Nebraska, and Illinois. Peace talks between the Afghan government and Taliban leaders getting underway yesterday in Qatar, a day after the 19th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks that triggered U.S. involvement in Afghanistan. Many are pushing for the two sides to call for an immediate ceasefire. And this is USA Radio News.
Are you interested in making $10,000, $20,000, even $40,000 a month flipping houses? Then listen to this exciting opportunity. Jeremy Isles and Tony Rosenblum, founders of High Impact Outcomes, are ready to show you how they have helped first-time investors flip hundreds of houses in 39 states for substantial profits. What's their secret, you ask? Just text HURRY to 72000 right now, and they'll send you a free copy of their 40K Formula Flip Kit. See how using their innovative strategies with the right internet search tools can help you create off-market deals that realtors and other investors don't even know existed. Text HURRY to 72000 now to get your free 40K Formula Flip Kit and get ready to see how fast you can receive your first or next real estate paycheck. Text HURRY to 72000 right now to get your 40K Formula Flip Kit, plus free tickets to a live interactive online training class. Text HURRY to 72000. That's text HURRY to 72000 for your free 40K Flip Kit now. They can't wait to see you there. Individual results may vary.
The Los Angeles County